Today's video is sponsored by Ridge, the compact, durable wallets built to simplify what you carry around. In celebration of Father's Day, from now until June 15th, you can save up to 40% using my link in the description below. Okay, I won't lie, this past week's been a bit of a Diablo 4 haze for me. I've played pretty much non-stop these past 7 days and have mostly enjoyed it. Champion's Demise is a pretty cool place, yeah, won't we agree? But I'll touch on that in another video. For today, let's talk about something new. One game that cropped up a few weeks back that I never really got around to covering was Chrono Odyssey, the upcoming action combat MMO that garnered quite a bit of attention, and for good reason. The game is a looker. They put out a rather impressive gameplay trailer that showcased gorgeous visuals thanks to Unreal Engine 5. It had some slick looking combat and big boss fights with tons of players around, all of which appeared to be running fairly smoothly, which isn't always a guarantee even for a game trailer. People were pretty impressed, myself included. Now, what are the odds that the game lives up to this trailer-induced hype? Let's find out. Now, Chrono Odyssey actually was originally announced back in 2020, first under the code name Project S, before revealing the official name later in the year, during which they also provided some basic details, saying that this would be an epic fantasy MMORPG about time and space, where players can experience a vast world with immersive stories and realistic graphics. Some notable features were to include a unique class system with what they were saying was 18 different jobs to choose from, these random procedurally generated dungeons, large-scale realm versus realm battles, and real-time action combat. They also mentioned having signed music composer Chris Velasco, who was probably best known for his work on God of War, StarCraft, and Overwatch. And then lastly, they mentioned that the game began development in 2019, would start beta testing in 2021, and was planned to release in 2022, and would be coming to PC, consoles, and mobile. Now, after officially revealing the game, they released a cinematic trailer. This was in December 2020, and then they went dark for 2.5 years without so much as a peep anywhere on any of their social media accounts, online interviews, nothing. That was up until a couple weeks ago, when on May the 3rd they released that official gameplay trailer that I mentioned was having everyone buzzing. That's when you saw all the hype going around online. People were like, wow, check out this sick looking new MMO, awesome graphics, got action combat, cool looking boss fights. It's coming to PC and console. Dude, where do I pre-order? Sign me up. Get me on the founders list. And yeah, again, it looked good. And with this new trailer, as well as a handful of articles, we learned quite a bit more details about the game, which include that it's now running on Unreal Engine 5, a boost up from UE4, which it was in 2020. They've said it is going to be a full open world with seamless exploration between zones, will include open field world events that can be, quote, enjoyed by hundreds of players. There's going to be world bosses as well, which we have seen in some of that gameplay. And there has been mention of dynamic seasons and weather in the game. We also got a few more specifics about the real-time action combat in Chrono Odyssey. So it's going to have all of the basic attack, defense, and dodge mechanics that you expect in pretty much any action combat game. There is also going to be a weapon swapping system, so players can swap between weapons in real time, which they say adds further depth and strategic thinking to the combat system, also known as you have access to a second action bar, a second suite of skills, essentially. I know weapon swapping is pretty hotly debated. Some people enjoy it, some people really hate it. Wherever you fall in that spectrum, Chrono Odyssey is going to have weapon swapping, it seems. Also, interestingly enough, I did read here that is also going to include the ability to alternate between 1 and 2 hands, a la Dark Souls. So you know how in Dark Souls sometimes you can have a sword and a shield, but then you can dual wield that sword all of a sudden and the shield goes on your back. I don't know, that's not usually in an MMO, especially this seems to be like a more traditional kind of MMO. Typically you don't see that in these kind of games, that sort of nuance with the weapon combat system. I heard that that might be the case. I'm not entirely sure though, we'll have to wait and see. That also made some talk about Monster AI, saying that it will incorporate unpredictable attack patterns and movements. I don't know how much this usually plays out again in a traditional MMO. It's usually just spam your attacks until the thing dies. Typically not thinking too much about the monsters except for, you know, blocking or dodging telegraphed attacks. But again, we will have to wait and see. And then finally, there's this time element also played into the combat, this item called the Chrono Tector, which they say has the ability to allow you to freeze freeze time, rewind events, and even explore other timelines. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that this is just gonna be tied directly into the game's campaign or story, or it's gonna have to do with some sort of phasing that will take place, because in an MMO, you can't very well stop and rewind time with other players running around. It just don't so usually these will be reserved for like instance events where you got a story campaign, and in the story time rewound, and then that part of the world maybe phases into a new version of itself, and you'll see other people in other phase versions. But it's going to be open world MMO. There's going to be other people running around while that is happening. Will you be able to freeze and rewind time that affects the other players? It's probably not going to happen, right? That's not. I would be interested to see. It would probably suck, right? Imagine if you're the other players and people are freezing time, and you know how annoying CC is in these games. Imagine if other people could freeze and rewind time. You fight someone in PvP and they just rewind the fight, and then they pop their what? The classes, there's evidently going to be 6 to choose from. This is a notable downgrade from what was originally announced to be 18 jobs, but this includes the weapon swapping. So 6 base classes, and each of them have 2 weapons, evidently. So the swordsman can choose between the sword and shield and a great sword. The paladin has a mace and tower shield and a spear. Sorcerer will have a staff and spellbook. Berserker, dual axes and a great axe. Assassin, dual daggers and a rifle. And ranger with a bow and rapier. And then also notable on the class side of things is that there looks to be no gender locking. I know that's also one of those things that people really dislike when it happens. I personally don't particularly care if the sorceress is only a lady. But people do care, and it does appear like there's no gender locking here. Beyond that gameplay trailer, which was getting people pretty hyped, there was also some extra stuff posted on Twitter. Some of this is just extended footage or other scenes within parts that they showed in the gameplay trailer, but just some information that we got from this. So we saw a 5-man group fight versus what clearly is a boss to see what looks to be a holy trinity actually taking place in the game with damage dealers, tanks, and healers, which is pretty cool. They showcased the weapon swapping in one clip with a character swapping between sword and shield and a spear. There was also a clip showing what looks to be an open field boss battle, as they called it a raid, with I don't know, somewhere around 20 people on screen in this clip. Quite a lot going on. We saw this one clip with a mage doing all sorts of different things, dodging and teleporting around, casting fire and freeze spells. And then the most recent clip was of the assassin. This one was pulled and extended upon from that gameplay trailer. Just some good looking action. I mean, all of the action combat in this game, just visually, the presentation, it all looks great. The effects, the animations, the combat, everything about it looks pretty slick. It seems to be running really well. It all sounds pretty good. And so for this reason, I totally understand why people were so excited, why there was so much hype when this thing was initially revealed. I do think that there are a few things we should really consider. You might remember earlier on how I mentioned when this game was first announced, they said it was coming to PC, console, and mobile. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about the developer. Who is making this game? Well, it's being made by a developer that goes by the name of NPixel, whose previous work includes Grand Saga, which is this anime MMO for mobile, and the spin-off Grand Saga Unlimited, which is a Web3 blockchain NFT game. Everyone's absolute favorite. So you're probably wondering at this point, GeForce, they initially said that Chrono Odyssey was coming to phones, and they've already dabbled in blockchain stuff with Grand Saga Unlimited. What are the odds that Chrono Odyssey ends up being an NFT game as well? Well, supposedly, according to NPixel, no, Chrono Odyssey will not have any NFT or Web3 tie-ins, although in confirming this, which came via a Twitter thread, they couldn't help themselves but give a shout out to their NFT project, while at the same time also tagging their Web3 gaming subsidiary Metapixel. So that is basically a sign of where their head's at and what their focus is on. Even when they're saying, no guys, don't worry, Chrono Odyssey isn't going to have Web3 or NFTs, in the same breath, they're like, but if you want NFTs, check out this game. And also, here is our Web3 subsidiary Metapixel. They run Metapixel, basically, as far as I can tell. I mean, it says so much in the headline for Metapixel that this is an NPixel byproduct, basically. So I think something else that's worth adding to this, though, is that since it was first revealed, they have apparently pulled back on the mobile release. They now say that Chrono Chrono Odyssey is only going to be coming to PC and console. It will be exclusive to these two platforms. I think, though, we should keep in mind, especially with what happened recently with Throne and Liberty, a game that at one point initially was planned for mobile, but then they changed their tune and said, no, Throne and Liberty is PC first and foremost. Then as soon as we got to see some real-life gameplay in action via the recent beta testing, turned out that the game might as well be on phones. It was originally planned for it, and it looks like it could be a phone game with how just really awful the combat was looking. Now, what does this mean for Chrono Odyssey? Well, nothing directly, of course, because it's a different game and made by a different company, but we do know that as of 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, Npixel was making Chrono Odyssey with the plan to launch it on phones. Things have changed in the time since, evidently, but how much of that core did they keep? How much of the planned to be released on phones game structure is still in this game? Only time will tell. We'll have to see whenever it comes out. And when is that going to be? Well, as of this moment, there is no release date. Looks like they might be targeting some testing later in this year with a potential release in 2024. I mean, they were planning to start beta testing back in 2021. As far as all the research I did, I saw not a peep anywhere about any beta testing taking place. Maybe that has a lot to do with the fact that they have changed things in development, that they're no longer planning to release on phones. I just think that as great as this looks, and I do want to be excited, and I am still interested, I will be following this project and seeing what comes of it. The fact that it's a company that has this Web3 gaming subsidiary with Metapixel, that they have an NFT blockchain game, that the game that they have that isn't NFT and blockchain, I was reading it's a gacha game. Odds are stacked against it that this developer is going to deliver something that doesn't even somewhat foray into those elements. And no, I'm not saying they're lying about the NFTs and Web3 implementation and that it's going to be in the game. I'm not assuming that, but I am assuming it'll probably have a really bad cash shop that's super pay to win. It is a South Korean MMO, and for the most part, those tend to have pay to win. Lots of pay to win in a lot of the games. We'll see if this one happens to buck the trend. I'll be keeping an eye on it, and I will keep you up to date. The gameplay looked great. I was super excited. Just the tiniest bit of cursory research kind of tempered that a bit. So yeah. Before we wrap up for today, though, I want to give another quick shout out and thank you to the sponsor, Ridge Wallet. As said earlier, they are currently holding one of the biggest sales of the year in celebration of Father's Day. From now until June 15th, you can save up to 40% using my link, ridge.com/force. I like Ridge Wallets. I've had mine for a very long time now. As I've mentioned time and time again, they are nice, compact, durable wallets. As for the bullet points, well, Ridge Wallets can expand to hold up to 12 cards, as well as having room for cash. They come in over 30 colors and styles, which include carbon fiber, burnt titanium, and forged ember. They're designed with RFID blocking materials to help protect you from digital pickpocketers. They've also got this optional AirTag attachment, so you never lose your wallet again. And biggest of all, they've got over 3 million customers and 50,000 5-star reviews, and come with a 99-day risk-free trial. So if you are in search of a new wallet for yourself or looking for a Father's Day gift, once more, use my link, ridge.com/force, between now and June 15th, and you can save up to 40% off any purchase. And with that, that's going to do it for today. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed the vid. I'll see you next time, guys. Take it easy.